to the dome. Ready for the road. Coffee with Charlie, but sipping Pampatron. Life very sweet, dog, make we take a toast. Toast to the rich life, never back poor. Take a cup of cruise, round the world we a tour. Then soon skate pan the tour.
All right, boom, ladies and gentlemen, it is the POET, Charlie the Poet, host of the best podcast representing Antigua, Coffee with Charlie, where we sip good coffee and have great conversations, man. First and foremost, I want to thank you for taking the time out your day to be here. We have the legendary Seani B, all the way from UK. How are you feeling, my brother?
I'm good. Not too bad at all.
That's great, man. So first and foremost, I just wanted to check in, man. Are you familiar with Antigua Dancehall? Like, were you aware that dancehall has made its mark in the small island of Antigua?
Maybe you don't know that I was in Antigua a couple of years ago and I linked up with Rhythm Master, I linked up with A-Flow, I linked up with J Don, I linked up with a couple of kids whilst I was out there. I was out there for a couple of days. Okay. And wherever I go in the world, I always try to make sure kind of you check in. You get what I'm saying? Right. You can't kind of disrespect which part you're at. And I always try and check in and to see what is a local talent, what's a local talent saying. So I don't know if I saw the right artist them, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm sure some of the names that I called, you know what I mean? They know Wagwan in Antigua. And yeah, I checked in. So I know that there's a dancehall scene everywhere in the world. You get me? And I think that's one of the most difficult things for me of late is that since technology has become so much easier for people to be able to record and put themselves out there, now you have regions and pockets that you got to be able to try and check in with all of those regions and pockets, or you may miss out on that gem.
Absolutely, man. And you know, when I initially reached out to you, I definitely just wanted to make you aware of two of the Antiguan artists that I'm personally working with, Puppa, Digits and PGD. They've been doing it.
Look on my saucy, clothes by my body, it's too costly. Resin in the weed, it's too frosty. J's by my feet, look how them top me. I'm just dripping my sauce.
I say we too flashy. Now I see we on the road in a tax. I post some song. And a people like this a rich man twang. Louis B suit, I'm in Louis Vuitton. And if I boast step a foot, me say what a bang bang. Shell on the place like a we game Saddam. And me say what a bang bang.
Thing in Antigua. So once they came up to New York, I saw that opportunity like, hey, let's link up. Let's all just do it together. And we've been making headway so far. I sent you the link. We started a podcast called Coffee with Charlie. And the first episode I ever did was showcasing Antiguan's talent. We're just going to continue to keep building, keep networking, and doing what we have to do. I'm Seani B. You've always been the champion for Caribbean music. In your view, what does it take for a smaller island like Antigua to gain consistent recognition on platforms like BBC One Extra?
I think not just on my platform, but on any platforms, really and truly, is that you have to have a level of consistency. I always tell people, rather than looking at a platform like BBC One Extra or looking at some of the bigger platforms, why don't you look at some of the smaller platforms that still have a little bit of traction within their region, within their area, and create that smoke from some of those smaller platforms, you know what I'm saying, guys? Everybody's got worth, especially now that you don't know what it could be that you create content-wise that good. And then before you know it, your platform is a massive platform. So I always tell people to check in into as many platforms as possible, because if you create, you may not get that fire, but if you create that smoke, people like myself are going to be looking over the hills and wondering, oh, what that over there, so is Wagwan. So we always kind of look to see Wagwan. You got to just kind of generate that buzz. If you get that buzz from your local people, first of all, right, and then you start see that numbers. Like Afrobeats for me is a perfect example. Everybody talks about Afrobeats and world dominance and all the rest of it. But if you really look at Wagwan, Nigeria supported Nigeria.
That's true.
Ghana supported Ghana.
That's
South
true.
America,
That's true.
South Africa is supporting South Africa. If you look at the rise of Amapiano. So before any of that took like worldwide domination in other parts of the world, they locked their own region first. So I would ask you, when is the last dancehall hit that run the ground in Antigua from an Antiguan artist?
Right. That's actually a great question, man. Actually, to be honest, there's an artist by the name of Nico Wild West. You can check him out after this interview. He just released a song called Good No F. And, they say women, they determine what's hot and what's not. and every single female in Antigua is uploading TikToks dancing to it.
Hey, get it look food, no good, no fuck it up. Why you pussy so buff? Show it back. Bag a man a rush, but money tap. You're too pretty for your waist, man.
Definitely got a good buzz out there. Shout out to Nico Wild West for sure.
And that's that smoke that I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of artists, first of all, enough artists, especially when they go online and want to try bonfire upon DJs like myself and say, when I now look upon a younger DJ, first thing I do is always go and check my DMs. You know what I'm saying? To see, did you message me with any music? A lot of the times they haven't messaged me. So if you're an artist, you got to be messaging and being consistent. I may not see it today. I may not see it tomorrow. I randomly saw your message pop up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not every day that I check my bracket email. I randomly saw it. You took your opportunity. You got your opportunity. Here we are today. It's not every day that I'm going to be checking certain sites and certain DMs and messages. So you got to be consistent on that to get your opportunity, to get your moment. Because what you have to understand is there's 1,000,001 kids out here that want to be doing what you're doing right now. So you got to claim your space and be consistent for your space.
Absolutely. There's a term in Antigua that we say, you have to dance a yard before you dance abroad. But a lot of the artists really don't equate success until they reach foreign markets. Why do you think that is?
Because as humans, we have a massive problem, and it's something that I had to say myself today, this week, is stop looking for validation where they don't want to validate you. If you're not getting validation outside of your home region and you're getting validation inside your home region, work with what you're getting validation from. The people that you want to get that big forward from, the people that you may want to get that validation from, they may not be feeling your music, and that's okay for them not to feel your music. But look at the people that do appreciate what you do and see how you can grow upon that. Rather than, you can't grow from like negative, but you can grow from a number. You know what I'm saying? If you put 10 to 0, it's still going to be 0, bro. You know what I'm saying? But you multiply it with what you've got there, you're going to get to that next place. You're still going to get to that next place. So I always tell people, say, you know what? Look at who's around you and who's supporting you, and kind of understand why they're supporting you as well. Look at your analytics online. I've really just started to put in a lot of effort into my YouTube channel as well. And I'm looking at, is it male? Is it female? Is it UK? Is it Jamaica? Is it New York? How do I grow my audience in the UK? You have to use all the tools that's around you.
Absolutely. And, and you said something very important, focus on the positive, not the negative. It's all about perspective. Instead of looking at the glass half empty, you got to look at it as half full, right? How important is storytelling and authenticity in dancehall today?
Funny, I had that conversation last week, literally in the studio with my production team in One Extra, and they're a lot younger than me. Like, you can tell by the grades on my face, I'm coming from a different era, but I still have that youthful energy, and the ear still works. Even though the grades in the face, the ear is still young. I'm gonna be honest with you. I grew up listening. I loved gangster rap. I loved badman, shoot rap, locks, all that kind of stuff. But it didn't matter to me if they was living that life or not, because for me, it's art. You're an artist. You are creating something. So I've got pictures on my wall in my studio. I look at creating music, acting, music in the same sense. I did not have to believe that Bounty Killer was a bad man. It would have helped. You know what I'm saying? Like, but me never need for no saying box down man, kick down boy. You know what I mean? People, it didn't really mean nothing to me. I just enjoyed it for the art. Some people cannot kind of split and separate. Yeah, sometimes you may think, even you buy into that persona, but it's not to say that I need to 100% believe that persona. And I think in music nowadays, especially from the feedback that I got from my team and my colleagues that I was speaking to, like, if you're not doing what you're talking, especially now, people just don't believe you.
Exactly.
So I find that so strange that you would want your favorite artist to be a killer.
Right.
Because if he is a killer, he can't be your favorite artist anymore because he's getting in jail.
He won't be able to create for too long either.
So especially when I interview artists, I separate this character and this persona. The character that I put in front of me when I'm interviewing artists is that, How difficult is it for you to go into a studio every night and create melodies and come up with words? Because I can't do that. That's what I focus on, the artistry. You've got to look at what is in front of you, the artistry. And for me, I love, that was my thing. Even as a sound man, selector, gangster, and then I go home. For that moment, I express myself and it feels good. Yeah. And then I go home. Because especially to the younger artists and younger people in general, you don't stay 25 forever. You're going to look back at some of the shit. Even to this morning, I was in the workout center with a couple of the guys and we was chatting in the change rooms like, yo, some of the stuff that I used to do when I was 25, I can't be proud of that. Right. And it's only now that I get older. As I tell to everybody, be very careful of the choices that you make when you're younger. You know what I'm saying? Even as an artist, to say that you want to live out that persona that you are putting out there on music. You know what I'm saying? Just treat it as art. Exactly that. It's your alter ego. Women do it in music. Treat it as an alter ego. That's the way I deal with it.
100% agreed. I think it's a direct influence from hip hop and a lot of up and coming dancehall artists, right? They equate the material and tangible success to, I guess being validated by others. But it's interesting enough because I'm not too sure if you're aware, but Hot 97 Ebro, he had an interview with Massacre. And I guess when comparing the success of dancehall within North America to Afrobeats, Ebro had suggested that instead of young up-and-coming dancehall talents chase that North American success, maybe we should kind of go back to make that connection with Africa and Afrobeats and try to find success in those other regions, Europe, Germany, so on and so forth. What's your take on that?
For me, if you look at something like Chronic's bus in Africa, bro. Chronic's bus in Kenya. Me here about big shout going out to my brother DMG Money, ZJ Heno. Africa's always been part of the conversation. So respect to Ebro, but as a matter of fact, thank you for repointing them back over to that place, because Africa has always been a massive place for Caribbean music, especially reggae and dancehall. I've been to Gambia, Tanzania, Kenya, Ghana, and the way they attach themselves to the music. But the problem is there's been a disconnect, because where Caribbean music has gone, Africans actually don't want that from Caribbean music. If you check out some of my vlogs from Gambia, they're like, this pussy, cocky, rare, fuck. We don't want this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when they want the music from the soul. So It's interesting that it was Massacre, because ST, one of the biggest rappers from Gambia, he says it's Massacre that I love. And if you really check the essence of what Massacre speaks about, that people love, it's that upliftment to know that, you know what, I can go from zero to something. Look at me now, reverse time, this, that, people love that upliftment, and to say, yo, these youths in Africa, bro, they're taking boats, and they don't know how they're reaching to the other side of which part they're going to. So the music that they want is that music that makes you have that self-empowerment to say, yo, I'm in the dark house right now, but I know I'm going to get to that palace. And if we're going to do or take that advice what Ebro was given, I feel that the music needs to sound slightly different, because there is a slightly disconnect. You know what I'm saying? And if you listen to Afro beats, they're not giving you that slack sound and all the rest of it. And let's not get twisted. They like that shit as well. Life is a balance, Gotta
have a balance.
You think South African girl them don't want to dash out? Of course they do. They all love it.
Absolutely. So as someone who curates music for a diverse audience, what catches your ear when you're introduced to new talent? What would make you want to press play again?
Uniqueness. I think in 2025, where we are musically, I think there's a lot of Lemons behavior going on. If you remember Lemons, I think it is Lemons, where people are just following behind people. Oh, that's the trend. Let's all go down.
Everybody's chasing what's trending.
I've been playing music for over 35 years. And for me, the 90s was unique because everybody had their sound. If you think about hip hop, Timbaland had his sound, Pharrell had his sound, Trackmasters had their sound, Primo had his sound, Just Blaze had his sound, and let's take it to dancehall. Sly and Robbie had their sound, Steely and Clevie had their sound, Dave Kelly had his sound, Tony Kelly had his sound. Everybody sounded unique. Every artist had their own individual thing about them, but definitely the backdrop musically was what you can put on a record and somebody would know that's that producer. I knew Sly and Robbie's drums straight away. I knew the clinicalness of Steely and Clevie's studio straight away. I knew the awkward abstract sounds of Dave Kelly straight away. And I think that because everybody had their identity and that you could just tap into that uniqueness for a particular artist. But right now, genuinely, I couldn't hear a rhythm from any genre and say, oh, it's that producer that did that. And I think that that's what we're missing from the music right now, that anybody can download an 808 and sound like Metro Boomin or one of them hip hop producers. The way people actually mimic instrumentals online, when you can't get an instrumental by 12 hours, you find an instrumental that somebody's remade. Yeah. The level of musicianship and the level of skills that is on show is ridiculous. Let's use that to be unique though. For me, I want to hear an artist and go, if you can't make me do that, then you've lost. And if you sound like somebody else, you're not going to cut through just like that. Your song would have to be so different for me to say, oh, Rod, that's what it is. I'm always looking for uniqueness.
Yeah. So where do you think the disconnect came from, when comparing the 90s to this current era? Because some people would say that, the acts who were able to make that buzz, that they didn't do enough to reach back out and kind of mold the talent of today.
I would say it's the other way around. As one of the elders, as a man that they call unks, like the only time I get to really engage properly with a lot of the youths under me, DJ wise as well, is when they want to be critical and say something like that, or they want to size up and say, we're doing. And I'm like, cool. Then you say what we've done and still continuously do. There's a lot of my colleagues from the 90s that are still DJing and still holding big crowds and still relevant in the market. And you have to understand what we've got is experience. And I got a 19-year-old son and I war with him all the time. My generation does. Bro, you see that kind of like, bro, I'm a Jedi in your life because I've got lived experience. So let me give you that wisdom. I'm not saying that you got to do it my way, but let me tell you what the pitfalls are, some of the obstacles when that bend in that road is going to be coming and how you maneuver around that bend, how you hold the car where you brake. You know what I'm saying? What to pay attention for. I think that that's where the disconnect has come massively. And I'm going to say that the younger generation is very much like we do it our way because the Google and the YouTube and the search
resources,
and
right?
everything. Yeah, that's what's teaching that generation, where I had to go into a studio because I couldn't afford turntables. I had to wait for my brother. I couldn't afford a keyboard, so I forgot bleach out in one studio. I couldn't afford certain things as a youth, which are so easily accessible now. Remember, like, take these turntables back in the day was £800. You didn't even get the needles or styluses or nothing like that. You didn't get the slip mats. You had to go and buy an amp. You had to go and buy speakers. You had to buy cables. Oh, no, you're not buying a record.
Oh, man.
So the level of investment that you had to make back then made you determined that more want to win. But some of us had to wait for people to put us on. That's called apprenticeship. And I believe that word, the apprenticeship, doesn't even exist nowadays.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's not, it's not in existence anymore.
I was taught by Jedis. I was taught by real life Luke Skywalkers that knew how to wave that shit like that. And I took that knowledge, and then with the new technology, I implemented that and grew. I want to be able to impart that knowledge onto somebody else and to be able to say to them, you know what I'm saying? I think even as a black youth, I feel, say, a lot of us feel, oh, what on? Do you even know how you got on? Do you even know how that radio station got over here, bro? Do you know what certain of my generals them used to have to go through? You lot are in Dubai. There's man that built Dubai, you know, bro. Yo, come and chat to them. Because they know where the water really turns off. You know what I'm saying? Or where the heat and how you really make it work when the boiler now work. So I just feel that disconnect, the conversation, but technology has proven that, stubbornness has proven that. I don't think COVID helped either, because that just took us all out of the mix.
Definitely.
At some point, I will hope that we get to be able to press reset, because I truly believe in apprenticeship.
Right. No, for sure. And even, myself, right, as somebody who, right, I'm doing podcasts. I also, consider myself a music investor as well. I realize that a lot of the artists today are antisocial, right? They don't like to, I don't know what it is. It could be trauma, but a lot of the artists today are antisocial. But you're 100% correct. Humbleness is key. And, speaking to the longevity that you've had in the industry, what are 3 hidden gems you would give to up and comers that can contribute towards having longevity in this business that we call the music industry?
Being unique. I always say being unique. In the 90s, when I was coming up, I was one of the first to do the whole remix thing and all the rest of it. That's how I cut through. When everybody else was just juggling, someone played dub plates, this, that, the other. I said, I'm going to be different. I mix this music with other genres of music, not just hip hop, but everything else. My early days on BBC Radio 1 Extra, again, same thing. Looking at what was going on and saying, right, I'm going to come to this station with something that hasn't been done before. In the last 10 years, my stuff in Jamaica, some people say, oh, you kind of helped pioneer the whole visual thing online with reggae and dancehall. It was there before. I ain't gonna front. It was there before, but I just made sure I was consistent. So that would be the second thing that I say. Consistency is the key. Don't start something unless you know you're going to be able to finish it. First of all, you know what I'm saying? Especially online, you've got to be able to consistently give content to people. Like everything in life, if you're not consistent, you're gonna face like massive troubles. And for me, I have so many pointers, but as you say, 3, authenticity. As a DJ, as somebody that comes from a community, I am keeping it 100% real, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is for me. And I know that we spoke about this earlier. And for some artists, it may sound like I'm contradicting myself a little bit here. But when I'm talking about authenticity, is that be true to who you truly are as a person, that you don't ever get caught out, like no time at all. And maybe not even so much authenticity, but integrity then. Because my father always taught me, you have one name.
Right. Don't
spoil it. You know what I mean? Be like, treasure that. And that's what's so very much important to me. But there's so many gems. Like this game is a game that you learn new things every single day. And as it progresses, you have to progress with it as well.
Absolutely. And I also just kind of want to dive into your mind real quick. These days, there's a debate between signing to a major label, staying independent. Staying independent, you have your creative control, freedom, so on and so forth. But being with that major label, even though it could result in debt, you also get stardom. In your opinion, as it relates to dancehall specifically, do you feel like major record labels have done justice to dancehall artists, or do you feel like dancehall artists are better off staying independent?
It all depends again. It's going to be different situations that arise. I can actually talk for myself because I had a label at Polydor Records a couple of years ago in the UK. We ran a label there for 2 years. My experience there was if they don't truly understand the community, because there's always a lot of talk about culture, yeah? And I think culture is a slightly misplaced word right now, because I think that it just kind of covers, balloons. It kind of covers that word urban that just allows a free for all to everybody. Because I'm in the culture, I'm doing it for the culture. Yeah, shut up. Do you come from the community? Do you truly understand Wagwan? Now, when I was in my label situation, what I learned from that was to level the expectations of what you are doing. Now, because you're at a label with money possibly to your disposal, a certain amount of budget, do you spend that money in the same manner that you would if you didn't have budget? Because if it's one thing about us from the ends, is that we're very creative when we don't have no money.
Right.
So my attitude was when we was at the label, rather than spend, go get here done, go this, that, the other, rare. No, let's treat it like we ain't got no money. Because the label's always going to look back for a recoup. And I don't like, oh no, nobody, nothing. So you may have your nice fancy marketing department or the rest of it. I'm going to hit the streets. I'm going to do it in the same manner that I was doing it. So yeah, a label situation is great if you know how to level your expectations, because you can't go spend like X amount on dancehall and expect to see back that return, because the demographics is just not there to give you back that return. And if you look at the market, what we have by abundance is influence. What we don't have by abundance is that financial return, especially when it comes to sales. The influence way it works is in a live situation where you can see worldwide right now, dancehall at a swing. Like in the UK, back-to-back dancehall events are happening. So many festivals. In the US, you see Cartel at like all the arenas, Buju at all the arenas. There's an excitement, and that's for me the influence that dancehall has. Everybody want to be part of it because I have a certain type of swag. Spend the money though on the streaming and the downloads and all the rest of it. I don't think that we see that. We got to be real, because that's always part of the conversation. It's only the likes of the certain big names. Yeah, it's a crazy situation. But yeah, I just feel that for I like independence, and I don't like to be told go and make a big chorus. Go and rare. Because every time I've been authentic and kept my integrity, I've always connected. Right. One of my biggest songs in the UK is a guy called Tabby T, Ready, She Ready. And I just did that for myself. And I used to do remixes and all the rest of it for all the labels. When I actually lost my show on 1Xtra for about 8 months, and I thought, you know what, I was going to, during that time, be doing like some dubstep production, all the rest of it. And then I realized, yo, they don't love me like that. Let me go back to my thing, reggae. Boom. Grammy on the back of the wall, right? Where is
Congrats, man.
For me, it's like being independent was always worked for me as a producer, just to be able to do my thing and to have that freedom of creativity. If you can get that situation, like in a major label, maybe it'll work for you. But for me, it didn't really work.
Got it. Definitely understandable. There's a few more questions for you. So I myself, I'm a therapist, so I like to incorporate mental health into my interviews. You said that you had lost your show for like about 8 months.
Yeah.
How did that impact your mental health?
That fucks with your head, bro. Excuse my language. I'll keep it real, 100%. I remember when one of my brethren told me all DJs have egos, and it's a massive part of what I go on. When you step out on that stage, when you open up that mic, you know you're in total control of an audience as well, especially if you know that you're good at it. There's a buzz that comes from that. When I lost my show for 8 months, I really felt like radio was so important to me, and not being able to connect with the audience for that time, it drove me to a place where it made me know, yo, you're hard, bro. Because a lot of people start chat shit. Phone calls stop coming in. All of a sudden, you ain't got the same worth as a DJ in the clubs. So it makes you question yourself as yourself. So you've got to be built of stern stuff to be able to get through a situation like that. I don't know how many other DJs will be honest about it, but that 8 months was really, really hard. But after the first month, I kind of realized to myself, hey, what now? You're Seani B. You're not Seani BBC. And I remember actually going to an event. My brother spoke to me about it the other day, where I was waiting to do an interview with Egyptian, and the person said, yeah, important people first, and brushed me one side. And I was off air for 1 month. I was like, rah. And I live to see that person today, having to, I went through all of that, but that made me stronger. So even when I went back into the BBC, clean, I treated it like a girl. Yo, when you see me in there, I'm your ex, is it? All right, look here. I made sure I was fresh. Car clean, fresh, everything. So I worked myself way back into that situation. I went back online, self-therapy, built my website, and made sure that I knew that I had self-worth for myself. But it's this DJ thing, bro, it's even being in One Extra, even being at the top of the pack and being that big name DJ. Sometimes you look around and it's like, is this what it's like up here? It's bleak. Like, it's not easy. And there's a lot of mental health in the games, in our industry. I see it a lot when I'm in Jamaica amongst the artists them.
Right.
And I even speak to 1 and 2 artists off the air, just be like, you're good, this, that, the other. They check in with me, Wagwan, Seani, because especially with some of the artists, you give them opportunities and the perception is online. Once you get that opportunity and then boom, you're bust, you're gone. And 6 months later, they realize it's not actually like that. And I said,
Exactly.
I did tell you that, bro. It's like, I ain't got the magic stick.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
It goes up and down.
Yeah. You got to really know how to balance your emotions.
Absolutely. Wise words from Seani B. So when people look back at your contribution to music and culture, what do you hope they say about the mark you left behind?
That's a deep one, Hard. It's easy, but it's hard. Like, he was real. He kept it real with the music. Like, you could see that he loved it. And I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I hear a lot of that right now. And that actually helps. Like,
keep you going.
Yeah. When you hit that obstacle, or you hear somebody chatting crap about you, or you see a move go down and you're like, why wasn't I involved in that or something like that? But then you'll be walking down the street and then the most random person will come up to me like, Seani, I see what you're doing, bro. I would love it, And that keeps me going. Like, my family know that shit right there. Without that, sometimes it'd be so hard. So hard. And I can go anywhere in the world and hear that. And to know that I've reached so many different places in the world, the most random places, BB1 Extra. Seani, sometimes they don't even know my name. And I'm good with that. Like, it's not a problem, but it's just to know that, and they tell you about the content, and even some of the big names that come to you, like, reach out to you in the silent and be like, yo, I needed that session, bro. Like, I needed that session. And to know that you've contributed to that in that kind of sense means a hell of a lot to me.
Absolutely. And, and me, myself, I want to give you your flowers while you're here. You're definitely a major inspiration on young men like myself, especially, coming from Antigua. Not everybody wants to be an artist. Not everybody wants to be a producer. But for whatever reason, you were always in the Antiguan's algorithm on YouTube.
Seriously?
Always. So there used to be a joke. People used to say you were like the DJ Vlad of the Caribbean.
Are you serious?
You were always in the algorithm. So definitely major props to you for, inspiring young men like myself who wanted to get into the interview game and just document history and cover media. For sure.
People like you inspire me because you're the guys that I'm looking back and I'm like, all right, they're catching up, Seani. Time to run the credit faster. I feel that the space doesn't need to be competitive, but we've got to look at each other to be able to say, you know what, we're driving each other. And I love that. Like, when I see, I know you're at work right now, but when I saw the production levels of your podcast, what you think I didn't go and have a look and to see Wagwan, I said to myself, it's a good thing I'm up there live that I don't even like coffee. I'm a peppermint tea guy. So, you know what I mean? You continue doing what you're doing. And most importantly, with the time that I spent when I was in Antigua, and big up my family that's down there, big up my cousin, Kadeen and Sean and all of the team down there. There's things that's moving and going in Antigua. And when I see it, it's like, even I bucked up so many artists there because it's like a hub, a stop-off kind of crossover. And I may be there for 12 hours, hopping over to another island or something like that, or a few hours. And you meet up people there. So, and it's a beautiful island. Dare I say it? I think it's one of the most beautiful.
Appreciate that. Yeah, definitely appreciate that. So before we end, man, the final question, is there any message you'd like to leave for the rising artists in Antigua?
You know what? Keep on doing what you're doing. As always, be unique, be yourself. Try and find a way of showcasing Antigua as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so important to be able to be proud of home. You know what I'm saying? And I think right now, especially, the Caribbean definitely has that. Everybody is representing their own sound. So I'm looking forward to hearing what's coming from Antigua, that real Antiguan dancer.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. It's another episode of Coffee with Charlie, where we sip the finest coffee.
Bless up, Charlie.
Seani B, can I just get a big up to Coffee with Charlie?
Yeah, welcome. What's good? It's your boy Seani B from the BBC and the UK. Mr. Brookout indeed. Hailing up Charlie. Charlie, have the coffee factory. That is it, my brother. Coffee with Charlie. Big up every time.
Salute.